What's up, investors? Every summer, the world's top central bankers, economists, and policymakers gather in a small mountain town in Wyoming, Jackson Hole. But why here? What's the point of this event? And why does Wall Street hold its breath every time? In this video, we'll break down the history, purpose, and what to expect from Jackson Hole this year. Jackson Hole is home to the Federal Reserve's annual Economic Policy Symposium, hosted by the Kansas City Fed since 1978. Originally, it was designed as a small academic retreat, a place for economists to step away from DC politics and dive into the biggest monetary challenges of the day. But over time, it has evolved into one of the most influential gatherings in global finance. Today, it brings together central bankers from around the world, finance ministers, leading academics, and even select private sector leaders. What makes it special is that it's not a standard Fed meeting. There are no rate decisions announced here. Instead, the Fed uses Jackson Hole to set the tone of policy debates, sometimes hinting at future moves that ripple across global markets. So why Wyoming? The Kansas City Fed originally picked Jackson Hole because it was remote, scenic, and, believe it or not, because it could lure participants with fishing. In 1982, the Fed really wanted then-Fed Chair Paul Volcker to attend. He was an avid fly fisherman, so hosting the symposium near top trout streams sealed the deal. That year was historic. Volcker was fighting double-digit inflation and used Jackson Hole to reinforce the Fed's tough stance on monetary tightening. From then on, Jackson Hole became the premier stage for Fed chairs to communicate their most important ideas. Some of the most pivotal monetary policy signals have come from Jackson Hole. 1990s. Alan Greenspan used the venue to discuss productivity, globalization, and the evolving economy. 2005. Ben Bernanke, then a Fed governor, introduced the concept of global savings glut, a theme that shaped how policymakers thought about low interest rates. 2010. Fed Chair Bernanke hinted at QE2, another round of quantitative easing. Markets soared because investors knew stimulus was coming. 2020. Jerome Powell announced a major shift in Fed policy, moving to average inflation targeting, essentially letting inflation run hotter for longer. That was a game changer. Each of these moments shows that Jackson Hole isn't about fishing trips anymore. It's where the Fed often reveals its biggest strategic shifts. So, what's the role of Jackson Hole now? Today, the symposium has three key purposes: global cooperation, central banks share perspectives on inflation, growth, and risks. Academic insight, papers and presentations spark debates that influence long-term policy. Policy signaling. While the Fed doesn't set rates here, it often uses the platform to guide expectations. Markets pay especially close attention to the Fed chair's keynote speech. One phrase or shift in tone can move bond yields, currencies, and the stock market worldwide. For example, when Powell took a hawkish tone in 2022, equities tanked and bond yields spiked. When he was dovish in 2020, markets rallied hard. That's why every trader, investor, and policymaker listens closely. It's not just about what's said, but how it's said. This year, with growth uncertain, inflation pressures lingering, and global politics heating up, expectations are high. Some analysts think Powell will emphasize caution and patience. Others think he could tee up policy adjustments for the fall. So, why should everyday investors care? Because what happens in Jackson Hole sets the narrative for markets in the months ahead. Bond yields, mortgage rates, stock valuations, all of these react to the tone that comes out of Wyoming. Even if no specific decision is made, the language used can shift trillions of dollars across asset classes. Put simply, Jackson Hole is where central bankers shape the story, and the markets write the next chapter. So now you know, Jackson Hole is more than just a mountain getaway. It's the stage where the Fed drops hints, sets direction, and sometimes shocks the world. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Powell will go hawkish, dovish, or play it safe this year? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.